We're Batman at 89.
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute 89, the podcast where we ricochet bullets off our gauntlets into the face of Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, Niall McGowan.
And joining him is me, John Parker.
And joining him is no one. We're back on our own sim this week. Briefly, we do have other guests lined up.
Yeah, we like it this way though. You know, you need to chill out a little bit.
Yeah, we are on the eve of a kind of a guest-ageddon. But so this is a little breather before we get into that. I say breather. It's big minutes. This minute is this whole week is pretty exciting stuff going down. So
well, I'm especially looking forward to the next few because some very classic moments.
Yeah, for sure. And this is minute 28, and minute 28 begins with Batman gently placing down Jack Napier once again, and it ends 1 minute later with Batman desperately grasping for Jack Napier's tumbling hand. So we'll see what events have led up to that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, so where we left off, we're on a bit of a cliffhanger with Bob the Goon had his gun to Gordon's head, and Batman had Jack Napier by the lapels of his coat.
I know, I'm concerned for the coat, because that's a beautiful coat, and I think Batman's gonna tear it. He's gonna rip something there. I'm upset.
Well, the thing is, Batman's rich. He's like, well, so what if I rip it? Like, I think Napier might be a bit more like, hey, I've got style, got class, I've got money. I've not got that kind of money. Like, you keep the hands off the material, you know?
Bruce is like, I've got 20 coats just waiting at home, still unworn.
But thankfully, I do like the little, almost kind of comical sort of expression though going on in Jack Nicholson's face, because he's looking down to Bob, and he looks back to Batman, and it's a real kind of like, whoa, like a real, like, how do you describe it? He just seems to be a bit sort of like he's so taken aback by the whole situation, and so in shock. Everything's happening so fast for him. It's just a bit like, well, okay, well, this is happening.
Having said that, though, he adjusts very quickly to what's going on, because I like it. I like the look on his face just a few seconds later when he kind of gives Batman a look that says to me, like, hey, I ain't through with you yet.
Yeah.
He's like, me and you, boy, I ain't through with you, not yet by a long shot.
Well, I think I should clarify a point from the last minute, just before we get into Napier having settled down, is that I can say for sure that this is that shot of Batman holding him up is a direct reference to the beginning of The Killing Joke, where there's a bit where Batman comes to visit the Joker in Arkham, and he sits down across the table from him, and the Joker's just like slamming cards on the table, and his face is all in shadow, and like Batman's kind of laying out this philosophy of like, well, if we keep up what we're doing, the two of us are going to end up killing each other and all this sort of stuff. And then the Joker just won't say anything back to him. And then Batman notices that there's makeup running on his hand, and he realizes that this guy isn't the Joker. And he goes, he grabs him across the table. And in a bit, they actually do directly reference in The Dark Knight. He gets out this big, where is he? And it's it's the same angle. Batman's in the same kind of position, and he only has one hand, but he does grab him across the table. And I thought, like, we're going to get into, like, later this episode about, like, well, how much influence did The Killing Joke actually have over this film?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but yeah, we'll keep it for a bit later.
But I do know that Tim Burton, in a kind of, like, slightly controversial kind of thing, because Kevin Smith once famously joked that, like, he'd watch Batman, and then he'd, like, listening to things Tim Burton had said. Tim Burton at one point had come out and said, like, well, anyone who knows me knows that I would never read a comic. And Kevin Smith joked, oh, that explains Batman then.
Oh,
and,
Kevin.
The thing is, though, he didn't realize what Tim Burton meant is that he grew up dyslexic, and he couldn't read comic books properly, so he didn't try. And then Apparently Smith has apologized. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that's what that was about." But
Well, that is a vague way of putting it. Come on, Tim.
yeah, I think it might have been all sort of like, he was sort of maybe misquoting him and stuff as well. But
Yeah.
Burton has said though that the Killing Joke, when he got his hands on that was a comic he really loved. So it wouldn't surprise me at least this shot may have been like, well, yeah, that's a little.
Well, it did come out the year before.
Yeah.
The year before the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get in, later on this episode. We've got stuff
Save
to say. Yep, say that. But yeah, potentially it could have been at the stage where, like, I think that was at March of '88, and this starts shooting in October of '88. So it could have been, well, like at least visually they've taken something from it. But anyway, back to this, back to what we were saying.
Us go off topic, and well, it's still vaguely on topic. I'll let you off.
I mean, like, at least this thing was about Batman. It wasn't about something else. But.
So, what did you have for dinner?
Anyway, it sets Napier down, and like, the look Jack gives him, I kind of like, you say like, it's kind of like, I'm not done with your face. I think it's it's like he's adjusted to the situation now, and I think it's almost like a look of appreciation. Like he's like Jack Napier, as we see, is a guy he appreciates the theatrical in a bit. It's probably in him already, so he's kind of giving him a bit of there's a guy dressed up like a bat. He's kind of like like he says to him, "Nice outfit." Like, I think he might even genuinely be like, "Hey, this is a bit crazy, but nice."
But that was my question. I was about to ask, nice outfit. Does he mean that, or is he being sarcastic, or a little of both? I can't quite make it out.
Could be a little of both, but I think he does, again, because we know when he snaps and goes crazy, Jack Napier as the Joker is theatricality personified. So it could be that it's within his person already. So I think he probably genuinely does have a little bit of a.
Well, yeah.
Nice,
I mean, he's a snappy dresser. He doesn't look like all the others. I mean, well, there's a lot of good, well-dressed people in this, but Jack stands out even so.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But I like to think, at least, that before these two characters go to war, that there's at least a bit of, because Jack says that to him, and then Batman gives him like a little smile, and his smile could be interpreted two different ways as well. Like, it looks partially kind of like almost like a civil, like, oh yeah, right, yeah, I know, I'm dressed as a bat, but whatever, yeah. Or it could be a kind of demented, like, I'm gonna get you. Like, it's like, we've been stopped now, but like, I'm gonna find a way to take you down, guys.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that, because I mean, Jack's look to him is a little saucy, shall we say? He looks quite cocky, and as if to say, oh, I've outsmarted you here, I've won. Yeah. But they have a kind of appreciation for each other already. I think they have a bond instantly, in a way.
Yeah, I think it is just like, Jack, he's been described as, an A1 nut boy. I think it's just he genuinely does have a little bit of like, he just appreciates the guys doing this. It's like, some guy's going out dressed as a bat trying to take down people. Hey, fair play to him. It's like he's not going to get my way, but like he's I appreciate the effort that someone's doing it.
Yeah, and who better to come after than Jack? It kind of bigs up his ego as well that the bat has come for him.
Yeah, for sure. And then, although as we see, he's going to make short work of him. It's more of like I appreciate that you're doing this because it's crazy, and like, hey, that's wild, man. But it's more like, I'm going to kill you though because you're getting in my way. Yeah. And then we have this. He reaches down to pick up the old gun and whips around, and Batman's gone.
Oh my God! Did Jack really think that this would work? That Batman would just stand there and like wait for the obvious? Like, what was he thinking? He wasn't the quickest off his feet to grab that thing and spin around.
Well, that's the gets into the question though. Like, how much does Jack Napier know about Batman? Like, I'm sure that because he's been taking out the Nicks and the Eddies of the world, but like, as he got up to, as Grissom been mentioning, that this is happening and meeting.
No, Batman. This is his first foray up the ladder, I would say.
So like, it could be more like, yeah, he's just completely underestimated him. Like, he just seemed like, oh, there's a guy jumped out of nowhere and knocked a gun out of my hand. But I mean, he wasn't there seeing him like dangling guys off friggin' grappling hooks and stuff. Like, as far as he knows, like, yeah, he's gonna some idiot in a suit. He's just gonna stand there while I whip around and shoot him. But
and where are we to assume Batman has gone? Has he gone up? That's where I'm going.
Well, that's the thing though, because this is like a trope of a classic Batman trope now. Like, oh yeah, someone turns around, turns back around, Batman's gone, and it's usually the Commissioner Gordon, the old done it. But this thing and this scene, it's cool, but logically it doesn't work because we know just down on the ground floor, Bob and Commissioner Gordon are watching the two of them. So Bob and Gordon would both seem like, oh, he's leapt over, or he's kind of dangling down at the bottom of the catwalk, or like he's.
Well, to be fair though, Gordon's not going to give him away.
I mean, maybe not Gordon, but like Bob could be, because unless Bob's just like, well, we haven't got time for this. But when Jack turns around, he could be like, Jack, he nipped around the corner. Like he's not like Bob totally knows where he clearly saw where he went, because there's no way he can like deflect what those guys are seeing. They're watching the whole thing, so it's.
Well, is Bob looking, or is he looking at Gordon? Oh no, he is looking. I've just checked. He's looking up. He's looking at Jack.
That's one thing. Actually, we're gonna suppose we can save it for another minute, but we're saying about Jack and all the other Napier hoods dressed to the nines. Bob's he's got a bit of a gruffer, sort of more dowdy appearance about him. Like, I like the hats, but the hair is a bit unkempt. He's a bit unshaven. He doesn't take as much pride in his appearance. I'm just wondering if that's like, I suppose that's we can get into that another time, but I don't know.
He hasn't got time for that.
I suppose he's doing all the friggin' grunt work. Like he's
he's doing everything around here. God damn.
Again, for the the second time, the third time this film already, he's saved Jack Napier's ass. So,
well, as you can see, he's not always on the ball because he's wasting so much time. Like trying to figure out this Batman conundrum. Like, where did he go? Bob has the right idea. He's trying to get him out of there. He says they got to go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is their chance.
I do love this though. I love this build. Yeah, it's like Nicholson's eyes are sort of darting back and forth, and the music has that it gets a little sinister and playful, and it is just like. It just keeps building in the background. It gets, it's just really well done as the camera's moving around Jack and he's really just staring all over the place. Like, where did he go? Like, what's going on here? And again, he can't let it go. It's like he could have got out of there, but he wanted to take out Gordon. He can get out of here now, but he's just like, where is this guy? I gotta wait a second till I figure this out. It's like, just go, you idiot. Come
again,
on.
though, I think that shows that already they have a kind of connection. Like he can't leave it. He's intrigued. He wants to know more. He doesn't know really what's going on.
That's what, again, too. Yeah, right enough. If you had never heard of Batman before, if you didn't read the tabloids, and it's not climbed up the hierarchy of the criminal underworld, thus far to get to his ears, this would be just like, what is this? What is going on? Like, but I do love I love the music. I love the way the camera's moving around Jack, or not around him, but like it's moving as Jack's looking, and just hearing Bob's voiceover, come on, Jack, and put a pin in that because the words come on Jack, let's go Jack, like become very prominent in another memorable scene down the line. So put a pin in it.
Keep that in your diaries, everyone. Your Bat diaries. I'm sure you're all keeping notes as you listen to this.
It's like the good reference is in the lodge and it can't get out. Write it in your diary. But
we know our audience.
Like every episode is in a reference to Lynch or Twin Peaks. Like we're just slowly trying to morph this into like this. We're just going to talk about Twin Peaks more and more each episode, and eventually it'll just become a Twin Peaks podcast.
Well, that can be our spin-off. But Bob calls to him again, as you say. He's going with or without Jack now, which is rare for Bob, because he even sort of leaves Gordon. He's not interested. But Bob just needs to leave.
I'm wondering if I'm assuming Gordon isn't armed. Like I don't think.
No, I think they've disarmed him, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, if they've had that, I don't know if he would have arrived straight from Wayne Manor to the chemical plant like, packing heat. I don't know if I think he might have just been like, I didn't think I'd need a gun because I'm the guy just commanding everything. But
well, this is America, so I assume every single person is armed at all times.
I don't know, could be, to be fair.
We just lost 20% of our listeners.
Yep. Good riddance, though. No, don't. Come back. Please come back.
Please don't leave us. We mean it in good fun.
Make note. Edit this part out. So.
It's staying in, damn it.
Yeah, and then we get the, after his mysterious disappearance, 2 or 3 minutes back, Eckhart makes an appearance again.
Hey.
And, where's he been? What's he been up to? Don't know. He's just been milling
having
about.
A snack.
Yeah, potentially. He's like, I wonder if they got a vending machine in this place.
He's got Snickers.
Because he doesn't seem like I think we were theorizing like the last time we saw him. Oh, he's nipping off to kill Napier himself, but he doesn't seem to be. He's not like, oh, there he is. There's no like look of like, oh, he just seems to be in the background, and he's like, well, this is happening, and
yeah.
I'm gonna
wanders
go.
in like casually.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm out. I'm gonna. I think. Oh, sorry. But
then Napier pulls his gun, and is he going to shoot Gordon?
No. This time is different. And I think because this film it's got a real thing for setting up lines of dialogue and then calling them back down the line. Because then we have a direct reference to Eckhart's the whole Eckhart, you should think about the future. And now again, Jack proclaims out like, hey Eckhart. Sorry, not even hey Eckhart, just Eckhart. Think about the future.
Oh.
Yeah, blows it clean away. Yeah.
And also, of course, as we mentioned last time, referenced by Prince. Boom.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Prince has seen the future. He didn't need to think about it. His purple majesty knows all.
But if he's so smart, then how comes he's dead?
Oh, God.
That's a Simpsons reference, all right? I'm not going to take the fall for that one.
Yes, if you want to complain, write to Fox Television and send that in there. We're not interested.
Yeah, but anyway, but that's the thing. Like Eckhart's turn around because like he knows Jack Napier, he knows he's a scumbag, he knows Jack Napier's a scumbag who hates Eckhart, and he's standing there in this situation, and he's just kind of like, I'm out. I'm going to walk away from this. And he kind of goes to shuffle off, and then here's the Eckhart, and he turns around with a look of like, what? Like, I would be more like, I wouldn't be shuffling away. I'll be like, all right, I'm getting the hell out of here. Because if that's the only guy, it's him and Bob are the only 2 guys here with guns drawn.
Yeah.
I'm in a bad situation. But he just has that kind of like the head just lops around. It's like, wow. Yeah, like
everything he does is just lazy. God damn.
The thing is, he was always right, though. If Eckhart had just killed Jack Napier, could have saved all the people that the Joker's going to kill later, but...
True, but instead, he shoots Porkins.
Yeah.
Eckhart, he takes a bullet, but this time he doesn't get shot from behind.
Yeah.
Like in Star Wars, it's the front.
We have to take it on William Hootkin's, acting word that he gets shot because no bullet wound, no exit wound, no blood, no...
Oh, but he sells it. He flies back into that steam pipe, more damn steam, and slowly falls to the ground. That is a slow death. And the steam envelops him. He has become one with the steam.
I don't know if there's anything like... So I feel now, do we have to say our last notes about Hootkins? Because it's like, well, this is the last we see of him. The whole film. This is...
Oh, no. I'm going to miss him. I mean, I know he's a crooked cop, but, I didn't want him to die.
Yeah, it's more like... I don't know what else we had to say about him. Like, I think we mentioned before... Did we mention before that he came to America on the advice of his longtime friend John Lithgow, which was a real... and then John Lithgow... was in talks to play they wanted him to play the Joker at one point. So, like, as we know now that Jack Nicholson and Tracy Walter were tight buddies, and like Nicholson wanted Tracy Walter to be in the film and really use this sway to get him in. Could it have been this other way? Could have been like John Lithgow was the Joker and Hootkins. They could have been buddy. Like that could have been the duo you saw on set. But
That would have been cool. I would have liked to see that, especially if they're friends in real life.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing. That because tragically, William Hookins is no longer with us. Died in 2005, I think. So long time dead. And it's kind of like, oh, I feel a bit bad for John that's going on. It's like apparently they were very close friends. It's like, oh, I wonder if anyone ever asks him about like, hey, how about you and Hootkins? How was the friendship? Like, how'd you guys get on? How'd you meet? All that kind of stuff. So.
For such a close friend, he could have got him a bit more work. I mean, I know he's in Batman, Star Wars, and Indy, but he's never a big character, though, is he?
He's gonna be like down the line. It's like, all right, I'm gonna, even though I'm not in them, I'm gonna manipulate events so you're gonna be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which won't start until 3 years after you're dead. So.
He could have at least got him in Third Rock from the Sun. Maybe he is in that, and I've forgotten. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing we probably should check to make sure he's not.
Yes, we probably should have researched this. So
I'll quickly. We can cut all this out, but I'm gonna quickly.
No, we have to leave it in because our Stereos Kokonos did this on Mogwai Minute.
Oh yeah, I was listening.
Which was one of the best episodes of Mogwai Minute.
That's the thing. There was barely any talk about the minute. There was a good this was talking about game shows for like 50 minutes or something.
Right. I can't see anything on him being in it.
No,
though there is an article here. We need to talk about Porkins.
Apparently he was in the Island of Dr. Moreau. I didn't know that.
See, he got everywhere, this guy, but sadly never sort of hit the big time.
Oh, he's in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, but not as Major Eaton. He's a different character. So
that makes no sense whatsoever. But okay.
But yeah, no. Oh, it's in the Pope Must Diet. What? Oh, come on. Leave the guy alone.
This poor guy, we've just like insulted him half of the scenes he's been in, but we do love him. We love you, man, wherever you are, looking down on us, listening to this podcast.
Oh, this is one of those weird things. Because I thought like, oh, this must be like a weird spoof of the Pope Must Die. No, apparently, I think in America they called it the Pope Must Diet. Instead of the Pope Must Die. So it's got in the IMDb, the Pope Must Diet, and then original title, the Pope Must Die. It's like...
No, you can't rename the Pope Must Die.
And over here in the UK, when that was on TV, they called it the Pope Must Die. So it must have been overseas. They're like, yeah, it's too violent. It seems anti-Catholic. So we're gonna...
Well, I had the VHS, though. And I had the VHS from Cyprus when I lived there. Pope Must Die. Wasn't like edited that far afield. And you'd think, if anything, it would have been edited in Ireland. Yeah.
But that seems worse though. Like it could potentially be like insulting to Catholicism or whatever. But then this is flat. This is a flat out personal insult to Robbie Coltrane, who's playing the Pope in it. It's like, what the hell did he do? It's like.
Yeah,
the man just like he's got a husky exterior. Leave him alone. Like it's his business. Come on.
Oh well, it's got him a lot of roles. So who's laughing now?
But anyway, after that little tangent, R.I.P. Eckhart and R.I.P. William Hootkins. We were gone too soon. So
pouring one out for you right now on my floor.
Anyway, back to the minutes. We get then. This is actually one of the best shots in the whole film as well. The close up on Napier's gun as it's going back, he's withdrawing it back in, and then in the background, out of focus, we see that Batman's returned, and he's just standing, watching everything going down. He's reappeared to take care of business.
Oh. I love the way you see him like out of focus as Napier steps back. It just looks super damn cool. Like he's just there.
Yeah, it's the fantastic lighting because you can't see his mouth and his eyes are very shaded over. So he actually looks properly like really intimidating. Like it's really
Yeah, they do a really good job with that in this, considering, as we've said, he's not the most physical man. And you could take it as silly, let's be honest. You really could. But they do go to great lengths to make him look scary.
I mean, like, to go back a few seconds, like when we're talking about the kind of the little smile he gives Napier after the nice outfit bit. That shot of him, it doesn't look terrible, but it looks a bit like you can see the cowl's not quite on his head properly. It's like the eyes are a bit on, like it's a bit over his eyes, And it's a bit like, yeah, that's not the best shot you could have got of him, really. Although I will say, in going through the film 1 minute at a time, first time looking at that I noticed that they had little holes for his nostrils in the mask.
Yeah.
So,
You can see it. You can see it quite well when you pause as well.
it is very like, oh, it's never like all these years, because again, maybe back in the days of watching this on TV and VHS, you wouldn't have got the image clarity to be
Oh no.
to pick up in that. So there we go.
You can barely see the damn movie. So,
I was like, oh
Although
my
actually
god, there's actually a guy playing Batman. I thought it was just a shadow.
you can't always tell on VHS. I know it's nostalgic to like them, but no, they're not very good. Get over it. Actually, going back a second, I love when Napier shot Eckhart. I love the look on his face, the grin. Because I don't know whether it's just me reading into it, but I thought that was like a little bit of foreshadowing there. Because he holds this insane looking grin for a weirdly long amount of time.
Well, again, could be foreshadowing. Yeah, for sure. And it's just very much like just telling you about this guy's personality. That he's just taking.
Oh yeah.
He's taking the moment to savor the fact that like, I got him, and he's just having a little moment like, I got this guy. He could just shoot him and run away, but it's like, yep. you messed with me and I got you. So
well, I get the impression as well that that they maybe have other cops working for them, these criminals. But why would you get rid of Eckhart? Because he's clearly their like number one guy in the police force.
I'm assuming that he potentially has sussed out everything that's happened, because maybe he somehow pieced together in his head like, well, we've ratted out Grissom is looking to get rid of me, and I'm assuming it's because I'm shacking up with his wife, or his girlfriend at least. And
of course, yeah.
And then it's just like, well, who could possibly have known about that? Who would have had the investigative know-how to suss that out? Or who would have even been in, poking around? Eckhart is potentially the one for me. And we know anyway, he just doesn't like the guy.
Oh, yeah. So who does?
So it's very much just like, this has all happened. I'm going to take the punt and assume that it was Eckhart. It had something to do with it. So I'm going to take him out while I've got the chance. So
spot on, I'd say. But then, of course, with Batman to the side there, out of focus, Napier does spot him. He spies him. He spins, firing his gun. But Batman gets his hand up and blocks it without even changing his expression. I mean, what a dude. He doesn't flinch.
I'm wondering if this is like supposed to be a little Wonder Woman nod. Because Wonder Woman has the gauntlets to deflect the bullets. And this is exactly what he does. He just said, it took me, I'm still not entirely sure what. Is it that he fires at him, he uses the gauntlets to deflect the bullet ricochets into like some kind of dial on a piece of machinery.
Yeah.
And then the glass splashes out onto Napier's face, or is the bullet ricochets and it breaks the glass and then ricochets into Napier's face?
Well, see, yeah, this was going to be my question as well. This is what I've got in my notes, because the impression I get, the bullet ricochets, hits the glass on the dial, and the glass hits him in the face. There's a bit of steam as well, but I think it's the glass that does the damage.
Yeah.
Now, in the original script, it's a little different. I mean, this whole the whole build-up to this is different as well. There's all this chemical-related stuff. Jack battling the cops in like grand fashion, shooting chemical tanks spilling everywhere. That would have been interesting. But in this bit, I'm not sure if it's this exact moment, because obviously the script's a little different. But he gets shot in the face with a bullet.
Okay, so that's very definitive. Like, it's definitely, they've got the bullet takes him out.
That's the draft, the original draft. Here, that isn't a ricocheting bullet, because when you see the damage, we don't see that in this minute. Jumping ahead slightly, when you see the damage, it ain't a bullet.
Yeah,
it's glass.
Yeah, it seems a bit, because it seems that his whole face is a bit sort of torn up, but it always did. Like, when I was a kid, I was like, I don't get exactly what happened there, but whatever. But now it's a bit like, no, what is this though? What happened? Like, because then the foreshadowing would be within the Joker card we saw. Remember way back when with in Grissom's office was that they had a Joker card, that had a bullet hole in the cheek. which was what you would assume, like, well, that's what they're referencing here.
Yeah,
the bullet's
yeah.
gone back into his cheek. It's like it was proper foreshadowing. But if it's just the glass, then it's not quite, unless it's both. But
Nah. I think they just dropped that. Maybe Tim Burton wanted that in, and the studio said no.
yeah.
I couldn't find any information on that. Tim didn't really talk about. He doesn't really talk about much on the commentary. I'll be honest. Not much that's happening in the scenes, anyway. It's interesting, but in a different way. But the most upsetting thing about all this to me is that Napier loses his hat.
No, I wonder then who picked up the hat as well, because the police cleanup's like, I'm taking this. Like it's a fine hat. So.
What do you mean, like Indiana Jones style? Even like in Crystal Skull, where Mutt goes to pick the hat up.
Like Napier comes back up, like, don't even think about it, kid. Just like...
Yeah, Bob goes for it. He wants to swap hats.
Oh no, I kind of want that to happen. That'd be like an abandoned version of like the Joker's first appearance. It was like Bob was going around wearing Jack Napier's hat, and then the Joker comes in and he's like, hey, forget about it, Bob. give it over here.
So basically, reboot this movie, Shia LaBeouf to play Bob, and we're on to something.
Shia has gone on such a weird tangent these days, because usually back in the day he'd be like, oh, Shia can't do, I didn't mind him in Transformers or even Stevens, but come on, he's not that great an actor. But like now it's kind of like, well, Shia's gone a bit crazy. Like I'd have to have him as Bob just to see what he does.
Yeah.
Just like
I quite like the guy. I mean, I saw him in town here doing that weird art exhibition where he sat in a room taking phone calls from the people of Liverpool, and that was it basically. It was call me and speak to me about anything, and he would type the conversation up so everybody watching could follow along. And I stood there and watched him for about 40 minutes before I wondered what I was doing with my life.
Watching Shia LaBeouf, like what's the problem with that?
He looked like he had been having a hard time. It was near the end of it. I think he'd been doing it for about 3 days or something.
But like the thing of that, because we haven't mentioned yet, but like because Bob's got a big scar along his face that we'll talk about in depth, like in the minute when you can actually see it properly. But Shia, was it on Fury that Shia had the cut in his face? And then he went all method and kept cutting it open.
That's
and
it, yeah.
Yeah, if he was Bob, he'd be slashing his whole friggin' face up.
So do it. Actually, I don't want to tempt them to reboot it yet again.
Hey, if it gets rid of Leto.
You might annoy some people there. Oh,
hey, come on. Bring it.
But yeah, after Napier takes the glass or whatever it is to the face and loses his hat tragically, he tumbles over the balcony there. And so I guess them having the banister thing isn't really that much safer than the Death Star after all, like we were saying the other day.
No, not at all.
Didn't help one bit.
Well, to be fair, it was a very elaborate fall, because probably like he seemed to be throwing his weight into going over the thing. So
like, I mean, it's a cool dramatic scene, but when you're watching it over and over on loop, minute by minute, it's very acted, that fall. It doesn't look natural, does it?
It does let out a good scream as well, though. It's like, he has this whole with the glass going in his face, but it's a problem like when he goes over the edge.
Do you think that's Jack going over, or a stuntman? It's definitely a stuntman.
Oh, for sure, it's a stuntman. But I'm just wondering if it was Jack who supplied the scream.
Yeah, interesting. I think he thinks he's above that. He doesn't scream. He gets someone else. He's got a scream standing.
It's pretty convincing
It is well acted. Maybe he has an understudy.
Maybe. But he grabs onto some sort of, I don't know what you call it, like a handle, or not a handle, like a ladder step, or a singular ladder step that's on the
like a rung or something.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly the word. A rung.
Hey.
Yeah. But
I'll put my dictionary away.
And then we get last shot of the minute is Batman like leaping over, or not leaping over, but like reaching over to grab his hand to prevent any further incident.
Oh, what a hero. He's even saving the villain.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of the action, that's all I've got for this minute. But
no, that's pretty much it. Just my one little note about the original script there, and the action is over, sadly, for this minute.
So I'm not too sure because then what we could do now is go like very much into all the events leading up to what we know is going to happen. Like Jack Napier going over, or the man who would be the Joker at least, going over the railing in to where there is a vat of chemicals awaiting. Has been this taken from it's been reiterated in comics several times.
Oh yeah.
So should we go into it now? Because I mean, it's we're pretty much there. We know what's going to happen. He's going to go in the drink, basically.
Yeah, spoilers, people. He's fallen down into some chemicals. Yeah, we could do a little bit now, a little bit later in the week. Could pepper it.
Yeah, could spread it on out. But so the thing I should say is that, because I think we alluded to it earlier this minute, is that a lot of people will cite like, oh, the influences on this film would be like, oh, The Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke, but and The Killing Joke is one that's now sort of put up as been like the real stepping stone, like a real landmark in terms of, oh, this is the Joker's origin. People always refer back to The Killing Joke, which is that for its time, it still is today, is a very, very dark and very twisted, very, very distinctively adult version of the tale.
Well, even me, someone who doesn't read lots of comics, I know this one. There's a few I know, and this is one of them.
What I can do is go into one story and then the other story tomorrow might be an idea, because
not tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, not tomorrow. On Wednesday show, because while the Killing Joke, I think Sam Hamm has said that there's things bubbling under the surface in terms of like the tone was an influence, and he could I think he said there's only stray bits and pieces that he could really put in, because the thing is, this film comes out in '89, starts shooting in October of '88, or at least the fifth draft of Sam Hamm and Warren Scarrins.
That's a great name.
That comes out in October of '88, and that's when they start shooting. But the original draft, which contains pretty much this exact scene, with only slight variations, was out in 1986. And The Killing Joke as a comic was published in March of '88. So, you can see, though, it's not the whole business of the Joker's origin they're not riffing on The Killing Joke there at all. That's not what the inspiration is.
Unless they were maybe working together a little bit behind the scenes, but as far as I know, that wasn't really taking place.
No, I don't think that. As far as I know, no, I don't think that was the case at all. But the thing is, the whole business in The Killing Joke of the Red Hood and the origin of the Joker is harking back to the tale from, was it February 1951, The Man Behind the Red Hood, with the exclamation mark there in the title. So it
should be 3 exclamation marks.
It's a classic Batman story that tells you the origin of the Joker. Now, John, this is a big important story. Who do you think wrote this story? Do you think that Bob Kane came in to write this story?
I think it was Bill Finger.
Indeed it was. Bill Finger.
How the hell did I know that?
Pulling the finger out again. In the because this is back obviously in 51, so this is like early sort of slightly campier, child-friendly version of comics. The mystery of the man behind the red hood. Essentially, if I sum it up, is that Batman is hired as a criminology teacher for Gotham University by Dean Chalmers.
Wow.
Would go on then to obviously become superintendent for several schools around the Springfield area. But
successful man.
Yeah. While he's there teaching, him and Robin are in teaching the kids, and he starts telling them about like, oh, the case I never solved is the case of the Red Hood, and the Red Hood was a notorious gang leader. Was a guy who wore like a kind of red domed thing on his head. Like no one
would have thunk it.
Yeah, no one knew who he was, and wore a red cape and stuff. And what he went in then and did was, Batman tells him like, oh, there was a night he was robbing the Monarch playing card company, and then tried to escape through the adjacent.
Why are you gonna get robbing that?
Well, apparently he said he was going in for $1 million, so he got $1 million out of it anyway. But and then to escape, they went through Ace Chemicals next door, and then he's confronted with Batman, and the guy jumped voluntarily went like, "Oh, I'm out of here." Jumps into the chemicals.
I don't like that. Come on.
Yeah, but the thing is, then within this story, right, the Red Hood hears that this is Batman's talking about the case again, and he attacks the university, and then and this is like the lamest part of the story, right? The Batman then takes down the Red Hood, whips off the hood, and much like a Scooby-Doo reveal, and reveals that it's the gardener of the university.
Oh, no, I like that.
But he's revealed everything. He's like, "Oh no, I've taken inspiration. But what I've done is I've actually captured the real Red Hood, and I've got him tied up in the garden shed."
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah,
you've spun around.
And then he goes and Batman, they rip off the mask of the real Red Hood, and it's revealed to be the Joker.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he whips it off and it's his own face looking back at him.
It doesn't get that cerebral, tragically. But yeah, then it's just like the Joker's just like, "Well, yeah, yes, I was." There's a whole big thing of like, "This is my origin. I jumped into the chemicals and my skin was bleached white," and it's a very like this panel. We'll put it up in the thing where he's like, "Oh dear Lord, my skin is now white and my hair is green. What a joke on me!"
No.
And it's a bit, it's lame. It's really, it's dated.
I'm not
into
that.
Yeah. But
you don't need to explain it. That's why the Nolan ones did so good with it. Like, because you don't need an explanation. Here, I have 20 explanations.
And again, the Killing Joke, then their iteration of it does a lot to fix that, though, because the angle they spin on it then is people would know, like, Killing Joke came by Alan Moore, very famous, very prolific comic book, did Watchmen, all that. I'm sure people listening to this know who Alan Moore is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he goes in a much darker route of the Red Hood. It's it's a criminal gang, but they get other people to don the Red Hood outfit to be the figurehead, and like no one's really the Red Hood at any given time. And they strong arm a low-level comedian, like just a random schlub, who's got a pregnant wife back home, and he's a failed stand-up. Like he's desperately trying to be a comedian, but he can't crack it. And eventually, these gangsters are coming to him like, "Well, we'll get a cut if you help us rob this playing card company." And because the comedian previously worked in the Ace Chemicals, they're like, "Oh, if you can lead us out through there, everything will be fine." And then the night of the robbery, the guy's told that there's been an accident and his wife and child, like the pregnant wife, is dead.
Oh,
and he's just like, "Oh, I can't. Like, that's it now. My life's over." But the criminal's like, "You're going to do this. We're going to make you do this." And so he does. He goes in and he's like the kind of innocent dupe, lead them through Ace Chemicals. Has a big shootout with the police, as you see in this, and then is cornered on a catwalk, then in the Red Hood disguise by Batman, who is so intimidating. And the guy's so panicked, he jumps over into the chemical waste as well.
See, that's slightly better.
Oh yeah, that's much more like. And I think even then they had the whole thing of like comes out the other end. It's the Joker, and he has a very famous panel where he removes the hood, and he's the skin's bleached white, and he sees his reflection.
I've seen this one.
Yeah, and then he completely snaps, and it's him just like grabbing the head, laughing hysterically and stuff. Yeah, it's great. It's it's very The Killing Joke's a very contentious piece now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't really like any explanation. I do prefer the Nolan one. I don't want to know where he comes from. I prefer the idea that Batman's kind of created him. That's pretty cool.
Well, that's the thing. Like, within this, then he still does blame Batman. I was like, well, cornering me got me to jump in the flipping chemicals. And then, of course, the Killing Joke also has the Joker come out with the line later on. Once he's reminiscing about this story, he then says, "Oh, well, sometimes I remember it some ways. Sometimes I remember it another way. If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice." So it's kind of like, is this his origin, or is this him making it up, or like what's?
That's much more interesting.
I think that line might have been the real influence on the whole Dark Knight. Him changing the story every time he tells it and whatnot. So
interesting, very interesting.
But that's the lore. So I think I said I was going to spread that out over the 2 days. But there you go. That's the whole thing right there. So.
Screw it. You're getting it all at once for one of our longest episodes.
I think even for us, I don't think it even is. But there is more. There's alternate Joker origin stories and whatnot. We'll get into all that on Wednesday because beyond
pepper it through.
But yeah, I'm sure that plenty of people much more knowledgeable about the comics than I will come in and be like, well, you'll find that this is that and this is this and whatnot. Maybe details have skipped or misplaced or whatever. But as far as I know, that's
that's the thing. You might not know every single in and out of it, but you love it. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
it's your field. It's your thing. You might not spend every minute of every day on it, but still, I think of you as the Batman comic guy.
Yeah. Well, as far as I know, those are the two big ones that led into before this film, and then obviously they put Sam Hamm and Warren Scar, and obviously they their own spin on it, created instead of an innocent dupe comedian who was, and even then before then the Red Hood, who was like the original the man behind the Red Hood, he was a criminal mastermind or whatever, and that's influenced other stories we'll get into another time because the origin of the Joker has been told over and over again. So,
and I'm sure it'll continue to be so. So yeah, well, that sums it up. Anyway, that's the end of this glorious Monday episode, and we hope we have cheered you up after you've probably gone back to work or something. Everyone hates Monday. We're all Garfield at heart. So yes, that's it for minute 28. Join us again on Wednesday. We'll have minute 29. Can you believe it? 29 follows 28. It's unbelievable. So yes, check us out online. Facebook is probably the number one place. The Batman 89 Listeners Society is our secret club. You need a mask and money to join. So send over your invite, and then we'll give you the details for sending us the money. And then on Twitter, tweet us at Batminute89. Look us up on Instagram and Tumblr as well. We would also appreciate a rate and review on iTunes, because that's very helpful. And, I mean, if you really want to get in touch with me personally for some freakish reason, you can tweet me at TheJonfen, which is a strange reference to Everything is Illuminated, that movie. So that's JONFEN. And you'll get sick of me very quickly on there, though, just tweeting about every single thing I like, not just movies. So, yes, join us again on Wednesday for more Batminute 89.
Next time, Dangling Dastard. As the ghastly gangster grips onto our grim avenger for dear life, will he be sent up in the river or plunged down into a peroxide palace of pain? Find out next time. Same Bat Pod.
different Bat Minute.